This is Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans with me, Cheryl Burke, an iHeartRadio podcast. Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans. I am not in a normal environment like I normally am, so excuse any weird sounds that you may hear. I'm currently in a hotel, but I couldn't miss, obviously, doing this recap for Dancing with the Stars semi-finals. I can't believe it's already here. I am so excited about this. And I honestly just want to thank you guys so much for all of the amazing feedback that I've been seeing and reading. It really helps me as far as what I can do better as a host for you and for the fans, especially when it comes to Dancing with the Stars throughout the years. You guys have, made this show possible. You've made this show popular enough to last for as long as it has been, for 32 whole seasons. So thank you for, the love and support, but mainly, even if I'm not a part of the show, thank you for supporting the art of dance in general. This has been an incredible season so far. So let's just get to it, shall we? Let's just get to the opening of the show. I was actually hoping to see all the eliminated pros basically perform the opening number tonight, or a opening number tonight, considering that, it is the semifinals. And there's nothing more powerful, I think, than seeing the pros do their thing as, the first shot that we see, even before Alfonso and Julianne introduce themselves. I think it's a powerful way to start a show, but it is what it is. And I just, right out from the gate, I just love the aesthetic. When I see the couples come out, I definitely see the wardrobe. So shout out to the wardrobe department they've done such an amazing job this season, as always. But really, especially this season, I love just the classic look right out the gate that I saw with Jason and Daniela, him in a beautiful tail suit. Shout out to Mr. Garo. He makes all of the men's suits, which, you've seen every single week. At least one of the male pros or male celebrities, they're definitely wearing one. And it's not easy. They make everything from scratch, you guys. Anyway, also, I wish I would have seen, as far as the package goes, I would have loved to see the pro dancers do interviews, like we did back in the day. And I would love to hear their take and their assessment on the semi-finalists so far. So I think it would be great, to hear their opinions as opposed to maybe the judges, since we will obviously hear from them throughout the show tonight. Let me know if you'd like to hear from all of the pros. I would love to get your guys' take as well. Just in case any of the executives are listening, you never know, So make sure you guys comment on our Instagram page at Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans if you haven't already. Also make sure you go to, Apple Podcasts if you have an iPhone. That app, it's purple for those of you that may not know, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, rate this podcast, preferably 5 stars, and in the reviews. This is very important if you want this podcast to continue, because I know you guys are going to have post Dancing with the Stars blues once this season ends, but just want to let you guys know as well that, this podcast is not over once Dancing with the Stars wraps. We've only just begun, folks. We've got so many celebrities to get through. We've got so many pro dancers to get through. We've got so much more to talk about. I would love to hear who you want to hear from, but more importantly, the content. Would you guys want me to do recaps of previous seasons? Would you like to hear more behind the scenes of the previous seasons? Or would you like maybe 2 guests a week as opposed to, maybe a rewatch and a guest? Please let me know. Your feedback is very important to this podcast and personally to me as well. I read every single comment. So make sure you go to wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay. Subscribe, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. Just make sure you rate and review. It's very important. Or even just if you can't do that, if you can't figure it out, make sure you go to Sex Lies at Sex Lies and Spray Tan's Instagram account, because you'll see an exact how-to for those people who are technically challenged like myself. Okay, let's get to it. The semifinals recap. Okay, couple number 1, Ariana and Pasha. First off, I absolutely respect and honor Ariana and obviously Pasha, who definitely recommended her to not only rehearse, not only in her heels that she most likely will be wearing on the show, but took it up a notch, you guys, by practicing in a Latin practice skirt. Okay, let me repeat, a Latin practice skirt, which means a skirt that shows off, your legs and feet, and a skirt you basically just step into, think of it as like a bodysuit for your bottom half, basically, with spandex shorts that you step into that are sewn to like a fringe skirt, like what you saw in Ariana's rehearsal package prior to her performance. I must say, pros, please take a note, okay, for next season. It really does help your partner, especially for the pro males. You know, it's important to tell your women celebs to put a skirt on, whether it be a ballroom skirt, a Latin skirt, depends on what the challenge is for the week, because it helps. Especially, you know, for me, when I had my male celebs, they're not used to skirts whipping around in their face or whipping them around in other places. This is very important to get used to this during the rehearsal space so that doesn't distract them come show night, okay? Look, it is so refreshing. And I guess it really, you know, shows that you're working hard, that you're really trying to take on the challenge. And you can tell Ariana is really giving it all she has and rehearsed her ass off this week. I mean, she put it all into the semifinals. You can tell. I have to say, Ariana and Pasha's jive was clean. It was action-packed, strong kicks and flicks, synchronicity in the side-by-side bits, great partnering moments, meaning they had like a West Coast swing vibe at the top. And I loved how their routine gradually gave energy throughout. It was not monotone, or it wasn't just high energy. It was so musical. I am not a huge jive lover, as I'm sure many can agree. But, you know, for me, I always would love to see, especially the celebrity women, wear, I guess, more of a skirt. Though she wore a beaded fringe dress, which was beautiful, I wish her skirt was bigger and whipped around more. It would have made her look better, more of like a day, like different like layers of fabric type skirt, you know, so that every time she turned, it would follow, it would be a reaction. So she looked more full in some moments, you know, because it's the semifinals. What was lacking for me was chemistry between the two people, between Ariana and Pasha, and playfulness, flirtiness within, you know, the dance and the choreography. Because jive is a flirty dance too. You know, it could be so many different types of feels. Ariana and Pasha, you know, I've never seen them execute a dance like this, which is not necessarily, I guess, a bad thing, but it is a style preference. And for me, they could have used like more cheeky playfulness amongst the two of them. When I think of the ballroom dance genre in general, I think of two people dancing together and telling a story, you know, through movements between those two people and those two people only. And the audience members are the ones basically sitting back and observing their story. You know, it's not the actors trying to please and perform outwards to whoever's watching or the audience, which I believe is where the beauty and authenticity and rawness lies when it comes to ballroom dancing. So for me, that was super underwhelming, especially when it comes to this couple specifically, Ariana and Pasha. You know, every single week prior to tonight, they have told a story between the two of them through movement and rarely have been distracted by performing to the cameras and or the live audience. So with that being said, I give Ariana and Pasha a 9. Okay, so, you know, I'm commenting now after I hear the judges, especially for this couple, for Ariana and Pasha. You know, I haven't heard their score yet, FYI. And for those new listeners, I want you to know these recaps, I don't wait until I hear the judges' comments or the scores normally before I comment on them. I just want to really make my own assessment of this couple without the influence of maybe what I heard from the judges. But look, at the end of the day, I definitely have to say something about this. So as a viewer, it would have been nice if the package showed Ariana's injury, which I know from an inside source that happened in the earlier weeks of the show. Now, whether it was her injuring a prior accident that she may have had before she started, or whether it happened because of dancing is honestly irrelevant. I also, you know, have talked about this with Sochi. Like, why aren't we seeing the reality of what is actually happening is something that is just so disappointing, as the struggle on the show is so real. You know, on the show, the packages, you know, are so important. And for the most part, I would say this season showed no struggle, really. There was no tension, none of it. And we all know it's emotional. It's an emotional roller coaster. These people start crying, not out of nowhere. It's because they're exhausted. They're physically exhausted, but more importantly, they're just mentally drained, especially if they're working so hard and they haven't received the feedback that they expected. Okay. So, I get that this show is a positive show. Don't get me wrong. It still is. But just because someone shows real struggle or emotion, it doesn't mean that the show still can't come off as a positive show. If anything, it just makes you want to root more for the couple, and also makes the judges aware of the fact that maybe their expectations, for example, when Carrie Ann said that about her injury, of Ariana's, range of motion, like she obviously had an expectation that Ariana couldn't physically meet. Right? So this reminds me of, for example, when Cody and I got COVID and they didn't show the actual reality of what we did. I mean, you guys, we built these crazy sets. Like, I walked out of my home to see a bunch of camera equipment dropped off in front of my garage because they couldn't come in because I had COVID. And therefore I had to do everything myself. Okay. I was my ex-husband at that moment. At the time, my husband couldn't even help me. Like, it was just me, myself, and I setting this up. I was the set director. I was the camera operator. I was the lighting girl. I was the mic. I was the dancer, the pro dancer. And it was just so intense. And none of it was being showed. It was such a shame. At the end of the day, it's the reality. This is a variety show and a reality show mixed together. And, it's just a shame that and also for example, with Cody as well, we had 2 dances to learn once we were saved, and we did that Britney Spears jazz number in order, for us, we had to do 2 dances basically when we returned to the ballroom, which technically when we were out of quarantine, it was only we only had camera blocking, and then it was the live show because it was Mondays back then. I taught Cody both dances. It was the jive and Viennese waltz. It was like Disney night, I think. And, we did this all via Zoom, you guys, while he was dancing his COVID ass off, I was basically on his, he was on his deck, small yet not very wide deck in Brooklyn. And not 1 second of this was shown me barking at him via Zoom and literally teaching him on my laptop. It was so crazy, right? This would have been great television. Let me know if you guys would love to see this in the packages, as they are currently just a little bit underwhelming for me this season, especially. It's so important to see the struggle. I don't understand why they don't show it. And if anyone knows that, I would think it was Conrad, the showrunner now. Anyway, let me know again if you guys can just comment. If you agree, go to our Instagram page at Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans, or go to wherever you listen to podcasts and comment in the reviews, okay? Couple number 2, Jason and Daniela dancing a Viennese waltz. I would have loved to see Jason's frustration week 8 when he referred to wanting to throw in the towel. I had no idea this man was so full of emotions, you guys. This obviously would have been so refreshing to see. Again, it's a struggle. Every couple has their own struggle. It may not even be dance related. It's emotional, because it is emotional. This is why I have this podcast. And this is why I invite anyone who's been a part of it on, because when you get kicked off the show, or when you go through such an emotional breakthrough, notice how the host will mention it for a second and you only have seconds before their in-ears, meaning the executives, talking to them in their ears, or saying cut, let's just move on. Let's move on to the scores. That doesn't give someone enough to digest, let alone to let it all out. Okay. Before they have to hold it in their bodies for God knows how many years. But, clearly there's a lot of emotion when it comes to Jason. And I think, as an audience member now, it's important that I see that the emotions are real. They're raw. They're authentic. They bring people like us watching at home relate to these people we see on TV on a human level that I believe the show used to have, and I still think can honestly have the potential of showcasing. This can still all be positive. Jason and Daniela, I know your pain. I dealt with Emmett Smith's vertigo, okay? As most likely he got all of that because of playing football for so many years and being knocked down multiple times, to the point when we would do waltz, I would see, just any standard dance or ballroom dance, the position of his head lays a little off center. So if you were to look at Emmett straight on, it was actually the positioning was towards the left side, which actually, funny enough, was perfect, because in frame for the male, it's important to your head is actually supposed to be positioned to the left. But, Jason, definitely you'll get used to the dizziness, obviously. look, at the end of the day, you're rehearsing this so much, but you're only doing it live once, right? So you'll be great. Just go along for the ride. You've got the best partner to do it with. Wow, what a beautiful Viennese waltz. It was elegant. It was delicate, gentle, classic, flawless transitions. Now, I love the fact that he danced to his song, but I don't feel like the wardrobe matched it, meaning, I appreciate a classic tail suit, don't get me wrong. And, Mr. Garo nailed it once again. And I also love the feathered ball gown. Shout out to Daniela and her team. It's important that it all balances out. And now, this is not the wardrobe's fault by any means, but, it just needs to match, right? Like from the wardrobe to the music to the creative to the lighting to the choreography. And I felt like a more modern look still, though, wearing something classic like a suit jacket without the tail, or even like a vest with a button down long sleeve shirt would have been more appropriate to wear. The rotation around the ballroom was perfection. The transitions, which aren't easy, from classic reverse turns that you see in the Viennese waltz they showcased. And props to Jason for all of his heel leads. Good on you, man. That ain't easy at all. And his beautifully extended arms. I mean, that was just so musical and angelic. This is what I mean when I say the arms don't just get thrown in the air because your teacher tells you to do that. They are extensions from the rib cage, and they were gorgeous. His spatial awareness was definitely on point, meaning space between his elbows, and his awareness of his wingspan and his upper back made him really command the ballroom tonight. Though he's probably not very tall, I've never seen him in person, he still looked like he was 10 feet tall. The only thing I have to say that was a little distracting was his left wrist curled over Daniela, meaning instead of pulling, his left arm back through his elbow, because of the fast rotations and pivots when you do the Viennese waltz, especially when it comes to the reverse turns, your gravity as the male naturally will take that left arm and take it up and over. So I always tell my partners and my celebs when doing specifically this Viennese waltz step to literally create tension like a rubber band by giving a consistent tug, but using not your muscle, using your body weight, using the back of your head as if you had a ponytail and someone was pulling the back of your head to the wall, like a rubber band. And without snapping the rubber band, you want to create that tension throughout. Right? So it's with lead and follow, it's not muscle. It's not I'm dancing for the girl or making her do something. It's just about switching direction for the woman. And if you're spinning and pivoting, it's all about creating this tension from body weight, not from muscle. Okay. Anyway, that might be too technical for all y'all, but there you go. It was a little too safe and fragile for me. Also, because there was no tension or resistance of body weight when doing these reverse turns, his posture actually suffered quite a bit. And it looked almost as if Jason had a small hump in his upper back. But other than that, the footwork was technically sound and the chemistry and artistry was perfection, as well as the musicality, especially when it comes to his arm extensions outwards when they weren't in actual ballroom hold. With all of that being said, I give Jason and Daniela a 9. Couple number 3, Sochi and Val. Oh my God, I could tell right away from watching their package that Val is working Sochi on a whole nother level and working her pretty hard, as the routine itself looks so challenging, but it is needed. And I love that he is challenging her through and through in previous weeks, even more than in previous weeks. It almost looked like, it used to come easy, but I definitely know that this dance will not be easy. And if she can make it look easy, wow, props. Something that Sochi has is that she has Val, and Val has been in the semi-finals, let alone finals, quite a few times now. So Val knows exactly when to peak, how to peak, and what to do as far as how to stand out from the pack. I love this rendition of Gloria Estefan, and I'm pretty sure, Val worked with the band to get these beautifully musical instruments into their dance, because if you listen to just the original version of it, it doesn't have those samba beats. And I actually love what Raichu did. So shout out to the amazing band. You guys are freaking the best in the business. Samba normally doesn't give me chills, but you guys, let me tell you this. Samba tonight, performed by Sochi and Val, holy hell, they just executed not only a proper samba with the samba bounce that is needed from head to toe using the ankles and the strength of the legs in your core. They made it entertaining. They made it rhythmical. They made it everything that I love what samba represents, which, is like that Brazilian flavor, yet completely still technically sound. They showcased the different timings in the samba. They had fluidity from transition to transition. It didn't look like a struggle. I wanted to see more. It came across like as if they only danced for 2 seconds. It was so short to me. It just looked so good. And together, their partnership has evolved into a true partnership. There's none of this. There's no samba. There's nothing without, that connection with your partner. Good work, you guys. I am so impressed. I normally, get nervous when watching such a complicated routine try to be executed, especially when it comes to the celebrity women doing samba. It ain't easy. But I have to say, I just wanted to see more. And when they hit that last beat, so she just basically, he threw her beautifully into that perfect shot with that perfect light. Congrats, and that feeling that she knew she nailed it. Chilling. I have chills down my spine. Congrats to the both of you. I give you both a 10. Couple number 4, Charity and Artem. Artem just nailed it. Okay. When he said it in his package that all he needs from Charity for that magical combination to happen is for her to put the emotion that she did in the contemporary into the rumba, as well as adding all the technique, because, there's no doubt that Charity has technique and pretty good technique compared especially to the other celebrities, I would say. But when it comes to emotion, it doesn't match. Sometimes, for the most part, actually it doesn't match at all. And if she can pull that off in this rumba, which is, rumba is known for its passion, depending on obviously the music, but this is the winning combo. Artem is so spot on. I think that is exactly what maybe Ariana has been trying to tell you guys. And I think, finally it has clicked. And I also love, again, shout out to the practice skirts that I've been seeing in this week's rehearsal package. There's nothing like, okay, motion gives you feeling, right? Dance gives you feeling. And when you look the part, even when you're in the rehearsal space, it helps. You already have a leg up compared to the other couples who are rehearsing in shorts and sneakers. Like, you guys got to start it now, because none of this comes natural. I don't care if you have dance experience or not. Those are proper rehearsal Cuban heels for women as well. You'll see women wear like a smaller version, obviously, of what like men wear for Latin heels. It's basically just like a Cuban heel, but it's better than sneakers. Don't do sneakers. It's also not good for your knees. Okay. So if you don't want to wear stilettos, which I understand, those are the Latin heels every, single day that need to be worn basically in replace of. Their sneakers should be non-negotiable, should never happen. Okay. So let's just get to it. God, Charity, this is exactly it. Like, I could cry, honestly, because I've been rooting for her. I mean, she's so great. Like, she has so much potential, and not everything needs to be so projected out to us or out to the camera. We already feel you. But we don't feel you when you were trying to please the audience or trying to ham it up for the camera. That just doesn't work when it comes to ballroom dancing in general. This is what I mean. Chills. I have chills still as I'm talking. There's not much I can say other than that was a musically sound, technically sound, and the chemistry was just, it was so not even passionate. It was a perfect type of passionate, and it was not raunchy. It was beautiful. Len Goodman would have loved it. I loved it. And if I had an 11 paddle, I would give it to you. You did great. Good on you. Keep going. I give you both a 10. Couple number 5, Allison and Sasha. Allison really is the definition of this competition. She's the underdog. As she stated, she made it all the way to the semi-finals. I mean, I hope that she makes the finals, because there's nothing like representing the people and us, us people here watching the show, and the people who may feel like they could never do a show like this, or they could have never worn a costume like what they see you wear on the show, or that they could never move their bodies the way, that you're moving your body. And Allison honestly is just so inspiring, and she is representing every woman here in the United States, in America, who may question themselves. And that is beautiful to witness. So I am rooting for her and Sasha so much, and her positive outlook on this competition, though it's freaking hard, especially for her. I'm sure it's harder for her than any of the rest of the competitors or the celebrities that are left. She's shown that she can balance it all with a family, with kids, husband, a marriage, her work as an actor, and also now as a dancer. Sasha has done a wonderful job with her so far. And I hope, she continues on and just makes it to the finale. So with all of that being said, look, this was honestly a great job. It was a good effort when it comes to the jive itself. The song was great. The set was great. Shout out to the creative team. I guess there was just, for me, a disconnect. There was no buildup. So the buildup should have first of all, it should have been, again, the balance between the costumes at the creative, to the set, to the choreography. It was too much side by side. It just wasn't necessary. It's not necessarily something to do either if you're not dancing with someone who is more of an advanced, maybe already more of a maybe dancer, I guess. You only do side by side when you know for sure your partner or celebrity knows what she or he is doing. And I believe that lacked. They messed up at the very top of their routine. I think that took her mind out of the performance. The mistake was so obvious for me, and she was smiling painfully through it. And there's nothing worse than seeing someone smile when you know that all they want to do is either cuss at themselves or they're so disappointed with themselves. And it's like, you almost want it to end for their sake, right? Like, it's uncomfortable. For me, it is, at least. And, the mistake was so obvious, and she forgot a triple step on the stop and go, which is a basic step in the jive, which was really a shame. She didn't, have the tick that is needed and executed by your legs and ankles and knees. In a jive, you want to act like you're basically in hot sand. You don't want to ever put your heels down, like the heel of your shoe down. Basically, you're constantly dancing on your toes like you're on a trampoline, but the consistency is key, right? The softness comes from the bending of the knees. And then when you pop up, it's the ankles and the straightening of the leg. It was a buildup with the music. For me, this was just all high energy, and it slowly died, because when you start that high, there's only one way to go, and that's down, unfortunately. Because it's the semifinals, and she's up against a solid competition here with the 4 other couples. I give Allison and Sasha a 7. So here's another example of the judges just praising her, which is great, and it's amazing, makes my heart all warm and fuzzy. But, with all of that, though, how can she again go back to the studio and be better? Like, if they do make the finals now, I don't know if it looks good for Allison, to be honest, and I don't know what happens, but if they for some reason make the finals and you give her all this positive feedback with scores that are not a 10, how helpful is that? I'm just wondering. It's so frustrating. I'm frustrated for Sasha. I'm frustrated for Allison, because what are they going to do to work on it if all they're saying is, congratulations, you're the underdog. We love you. You're relatable. America loves her. Obviously, we all know that. Do your job. Give them a note or 2 even. Here we are, round 2. We start round 2. I love how they're not doing everything in order or just doing all Latin first round, all ballroom. I mean, I love this song. I think I danced this song with Gilles Marini, the Paso Doble from Jason and Daniela. I mean, Daniela's fire. Now, that intense look in the beginning, he was shaking. He was shaking all the way through his fingertips. He had energy, like he was electrocuted, basically. And that's exactly how to start such a powerful dance. Now, there were some stumbles. I think it was almost too intense at times to where they were off balance. Those pivots seemed stuck on the floor, like he wasn't pivoting enough and he wasn't taking Daniela with him. But other than that, what a powerful dance. I mean, you can tell this is Daniela. You don't mess with Daniela in Latin dances, I'll tell you that much. And man, oh man, this is what they're saying. Yes, this is what I've been saying as well. When the judges say, we just feel like it was just a little too safe or it wasn't enough. Okay, well, good on you too, because it was more than enough. It was so enough that it was almost off balance. But I appreciate it. This is what I mean by there's no such thing as perfection. The beauty of ballroom is in the imperfections. That's all I have to say. The musicality was great. The synchronicity was great. The twist turns, he owned it. I would have loved that if he would have worn something with movement, whether it be like a type of a shawl or something around his waist, or like even like a man skirt, which is like he would still have pants on, but then there would still be like something. Anyway, the point is that he looked great. He looked strong. He owned that floor. He ate it up. They vibed off of each other. It was intense. It was a different vibe that I saw from Jason. He is trying hard. I mean, it's all in, guys. You're either in or you're out. And I have to say, Jason and Daniela, you're in. I give you a 10. Good on you. Wow, what a beautiful slow waltz. You know, slow waltz is not easy. And this is for Sochi and Val. Sorry, I'm ahead of myself here. But, you know, the extension, the execution, the choreography was so musical. I love that she started with Ray Chu at the piano. I think that was Ray Chu, or that was one of the band members who, you know, I just love the storytelling that Val incorporated, really showcasing how great of an artist, you know, her expression, not just on her face, but her expression through her movement. Like, I believe that if she were to really compete, she would be an amazing smooth dancer, which is basically what you saw here just now. It's, you know, the slow waltz doesn't have as many restrictions, though, you know, that is the first dance of the standard. That is the standard dances, meaning they don't break hold. But when it comes to American smooth, which you see with us doing like the Viennese waltz, the foxtrots, the slow waltzes, that is basically an open of, like, you can open and be out of frame. And it's so freeing. You know, when you're stuck in the quick step or like a tango, a ballroom tango, standard tango, you cannot break hold. And it makes for harder expression through movement, right? But that is the challenge of the show. And man, she is a great smooth dancer. Wow. And I'm happy she got her 10 in the Latin. But again, like, this is a whole nother level. Like, yes, her expression is beautiful, but her expression only happens on her face because of the execution of movement, the detailing from fingertips all the way down her spine, down her hips, legs, to her feet. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You know, there's not much for me to say other than these are champions right here. This is going to be hard to beat. I give Sochi and Val a 10. Charity and Artem a quick step. Wow, you know, it always sucks to get a quick step or a jive in the semifinals, knowing that the music is 1.5 minutes, though it doesn't sound like a lot. 90 seconds can kill you, guys, especially when you have to dance in hold for 90 seconds. You try running around, okay? And in frame, it burns. It burns like a bitch, okay? Anyway, so for that was amazing. She, you know, what a great contrast from the rumba to the quick step. Like, I feel like she's more comfortable with the actual vibe of the quick step, but not necessarily the dancing and the movement. Okay. When it comes to, I don't know, it's not anything other than the fact that the reason why we wear ballroom dresses and ballroom dances is to take the distraction away from first of all, there was no body contact. So I think that if she would have worn a ball gown, and if he would have maybe worn a jacket, though what Artem was wearing was fine, there was just zero body contact. And that's one of my pet peeves. When you're in hold, you don't want to see a space between the two centers of the bodies. Okay. So like the core and the rib cage, there needs to be no gap there. You can't fit another person in there, or even you can't see through it. Okay. That's, you know, when it's not basically executed the right way. And for me, that lacked, which means that it lacked power, because when you are glued together like that and you have the right body weight and you match each other's body weight, meaning the resistance, you move and glide across the floor. And so with the space, it was a disconnect for me. So unfortunately, I felt like, you know, it wasn't as strong as it should be for the semifinals. Also, she was in flats. Now, they are dance shoes, so I don't get on her about that. But when you're in flats, you can't also execute heel leads, especially with the height difference. The reason for heels for women is that when you bend and you want to be able to drive with that heel, you can do it, because from basically, if you have a flat, to be able to bend the leg, it takes too much time in the quick step. But if you were in heels, you already have that extra lift. So that would have been nice to see. Because it's the semifinals, I expected a better quality when it comes to the technique, which wasn't as sound as it was for her in the rumba. Entertainment was great. She was definitely enjoying herself. She nailed every step, but for me, it doesn't matter if you don't have the body contact and the right technique when it comes to form, as far as your upper body, it doesn't matter to me. It's still not necessarily correct, right? So with that, I give Artem and Charity a 9. What a great semifinals, first of all. But let's just get right to it with Allison and Sasha dancing a slow waltz. Nora Jones, Come Away With Me. Reminds me of me and Gilles' slow waltz. It was such a beautiful song. I love the smoke, the ground fog, the set tonight. I love their costumes. What a beautiful royal blue velvet. Love it all. Better. Much better. Like, I wish she had those arms throughout the whole dance, the whole season. But at the end of the day, look at the growth, right? This is what I mean. Like, she is putting so much work into this. She has definitely improved. She's grown, most likely not just as a dancer, but as a person and as a woman. And what a great example she has been setting for her kids. Sasha, beautiful waltz, great power from the legs and feet coming from the pro. However, breath. Let's not forget breath. Yes. Now, okay, yes, I know there's always something, and okay, you got the arms, but yes, we can bask in the beautiful accomplishment. But if we make it into the finals, which I wouldn't be shocked if you did, being the underdog, people root for the underdog more than the actual, like the rest of the competition. I believe most likely she'll probably have the most votes. If everyone were to be scored even, she probably would have had the highest votes, right? I think. I mean, who wouldn't want to vote for her? Okay, so at the end of the day, now, what do we do? Just in case the judges don't say anything, because as you guys know, I don't necessarily wait to hear their comments or their scores. I am doing this now prior to hearing what they have to say. But in case, since, they tend not to necessarily give constructive criticism for this couple, especially for some reason. But with Allison and Sasha, you definitely now need to breathe. Breath is so important. When you hold your breath, your shoulders go up to your ears. Create the long neck, breathe through the movement, because that will also help with your arm movement as well. When he says paint the sky, you can't do it without a breath. You got to use the breath. You got to see your rib cage go out and in. Okay. You got to see it. You got to feel it. And the breath will also put emotion into your movement as well. It'll be motion with poetry, emotion to motion, motion to emotion. It all relates. And then once you can get that, my friend, wow. Seriously, what a great journey. This is the journey we all want to see, the vulnerability, the feelings of loss, but the feelings of hope, the feelings of like, I can't do this, to like, look at her do this. Like, if anything, she's had the best attitude throughout this whole competition, even if she's never been the front runner. It didn't matter. She was just grateful and happy to be there, yet she's also struggled. We've seen it all. So refreshing. What a great season for Sasha. And with all of this being said, congrats on the semifinals, you two. I give you a 9. And our last couple to finish. What a strong semifinals. I mean, very smart of whoever put these people last, because this was one of the best foxtrots I've ever witnessed on Dancing with the Stars. Ariana and Pasha, the musicality was insanity. I mean, I wish I would have seen more of it. Again, this was one of those numbers where it was just too short for me. I wanted it to be longer, though it's the same. Let me be clear. They have the same exact time as everybody else as far as the 90 seconds go. I've always said Ariana's so strong in the ballroom dances, like so strong. She truly looked like a professional dancer. She got the heel leads. Foxtrot is not easy when executed right. Slow dancing is not easy, which means you've got to drag it. You've got to not be stagnant in your body. You've got to fill the music out, which means you have to take long steps. You've got to really glide across the floor. And holy shit, excuse my language, they freaking glided. I mean, they used the floor more than anyone has ever used it, I think, as far as executing a foxtrot goes. They glowed. They were dancing on clouds. It was amazing, chilling. She owned it. She looked like she owned it. She just knew it. She knew she nailed it. The judges couldn't even sit down. They were, you could see them in the background. They were on their feet because it was so musical. Great job, Pasha. Wow. What a season for you, my friend. Really, like, you deserve this more than anybody. Congratulations. You finally have a champ in your hands. And I have always said it, and I am still sticking to it. I believe Ariana's the winner. I really do. Because, not just because of the dance, like maybe Sochi's technically better and in both styles, maybe so, but her vulnerability is the key. It's the key to the Mirrorball. It really is, to the Len Goodman Mirrorball. That's the key. It's being a great dancer, but then how close and how comfortable are you being your raw and authentic self? What a great way to end this semifinal. Good job, everyone. Crew, cast, executives, so strong. I give you guys obviously a 10. And just like that, something new happened on Dancing with the Stars. Nobody got eliminated. You know what? Well deserved. I honestly, to see Pasha cry when he was getting his scores, like, it's been tough, you guys. The emotional journey, I can't say it enough. Please show it for these last packages. Please, if anyone's listening, I would love to see the emotion, the rawness, the frustration with the freestyles, the what am I going to do? Am I going to pull it off? Ariana's injury. Is she going to make it? You know, Sochi, how is she going to outdo herself from getting a perfect score? Allison, just being so grateful to be there. Obviously, you know, she's just happy to be there. Charity, you know, emotion. Can she do it? Like, we need to see it. We need to see it. We need to go on this journey, please. You guys have done such a great job. Every single person as part of the whole crew, cast, everybody. Just please let us in a little bit more. That's all I ask. Congratulations to all 5 couples. This is going to be what a great plane ride this is going to be to New York. Congratulations. You guys are all winners. I don't care how cliche that sounds, but you guys are all winners. Enjoy this time, especially for the pros who have never been in the final before. I'm obviously only speaking to Pasha. I know he's so grateful for this opportunity. If anybody is, it's him. He knows exactly how grateful he is, and he knows how blessed he is and everything. So he deserves this. I am rooting not just for Ariana, but for Pasha. He deserves this mirror ball, this Len Goodman. I think Len Goodman would just give it to him as well. He deserves it. But at the end of the day, this is not about the pros. This is about the celebrities. And you know, it's about this freestyle. I have been on the other end of this where I won because of my freestyle and I've lost because of my freestyle. You might as well erase your whole history on Dancing with the Stars because this freestyle is either a make it or break it. No pressure. Sending love to all 5 finalists and to all of you guys. Until next time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to comment either on our Instagram page on @SexLiesAndSprayTans or wherever you listen to podcasts, comment there because you know I'll read it. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. I love that you love these recaps. And yeah, until next time, huh? Bye. Make sure you guys follow us at Sex, Lies, and Spray Tans on our Instagram handle and make sure you comment. Let me know who you want me to interview. What do y'all think? Let me know.